2021-2024 Urbandale City Council meeting. I will call the meeting to order. Ask Nicole to take a roll call, please.
Bodie?
Here.
Carberry Montgomery?
Here.
Kroll?
Here.
McBurney?
Here.
Rosendahl?
Here.
Is you able for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Urbandale is a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion? Motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 3.1, we are going to postpone the swearing in tonight of Assistant Chief Bingham tonight due to the weather, that his family was not able to be here tonight. But in lieu of that, I'm going to have our Director of Engineering and Public Works, John Larson, come to the podium to give us just a brief update on where the fire or the damage assessment from the storm that we just went through. So John, if you could just give us a brief update.
Again, what I know so far, again, we still have crews out evaluating. Sounds like most of the damage is kind of to the northeast part of the city or northeast of 70th and Meredith. I've seen through Mid-American's website, there's roughly 27,000 in the metro without power. It appears clicking on the localized areas, half of that's probably in Urbandale. So right now, fire department crews are out, the public works are out, they're communicating. There's some spots where there's some trees down in roads, so we've got crews coming in and equipment that'll head over and help at least clear the streets and things. So again, we're working on it. You know, it's likely we may need to do a debris cleanup, but we'll still go through our process and decide if that's needed. And it's my understanding that Chief Cardwell is part of the Metro now having a meeting at this time to kind of discussing and assessing the damage. So again, when we know more, we'll share more, but that's kind of what we know so far.
All right, thank you, John. Yeah, yep. So as you said, Chief Cardwell had a voicemail into AJ just before the meeting. We listened to it. It didn't sound like there were at least any injuries, thank goodness, in Urbandale or any very significant damage, but certainly some widespread limbs down. So we will be making an assessment on that. So if people ask questions, just give our staff just a little bit of time to assess what we're going to be able to do and what kind of response we're going to have. So we'll get that information out as quickly as we can. So glad everybody in the room here is safe too. So, all right, moving on then, we do have a couple proclamations. First is the proclamation for 2024 Public Works Week. Whereas public works professionals focus on the infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, and to the public health and high quality of life the residents and businesses of Urbandale expect. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services cannot be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply and treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings. And whereas 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, which since 1960 has energized and educated the public on the importance of public works in their daily lives. National Public Works Week is a week to inquire, learn, and appreciate Urbandale's public works professionals who plan, build, manage, and maintain the city's 220 miles of streets, 240 miles of sanitary sewer, 210 miles of storm sewer, and collect 300 tons of garbage and yard waste weekly, and who will oversee the construction of over $20 million in public infrastructure in 2024. So now therefore I, Robert Andoy, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, on behalf of this Urbandale City Council, do hereby designate the week of May 19 to 25, 2024 as National Public Works Week. I believe, who is going to accept this on behalf of? I'll turn it over. Well, you're the head, John. Come on.
It's not a plan, but that is what it is.
Well, that's all right.
Somebody take a picture.
You won't get up here.
Joke, Scott, see what happens. Oh, that's
Thank you. Is there anything you want to say on behalf of the John? All right.
It's a long meeting tonight.
Well, this is a great way to kick off Public Works Week.
That's exactly right.
Working overtime.
And the next is a proclamation for National ALS Awareness Month. Whereas ALS, known by many as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a progressive, fatal neurodegenerative disease in which a person's brain loses connection with the muscles, slowly taking away their abilities to walk, talk, eat, and eventually breathe. And whereas there's no known cure for ALS, and on average, patients diagnosed with ALS only survive 2 to 5 years from the time of diagnosis. And whereas people who have served in the military are more likely to develop ALS. And whereas ALS Awareness Month increases the public awareness and acknowledges the impact this disease has not only on the person, but on their family and the community. So now, therefore, I, Robert Andewig, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as ALS Awareness Month. I call on all Urbandale residents to join in supporting ALS research and standing in solidarity with those affected by this relentless disease. And is there anybody here to accept this tonight? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you for those two. And now we have a presentation on the Urbandale 4th of July. So I know we have Mary Polson and Annika Schilke here from the 4th of July Committee. I'll turn it over to them to kick us off, guys. I have my dollars ready.
You have your money ready?
I do.
I even brought change this time. Mary Polson, representing the 4th of July Committee.
Annika Schilke, also representing the 4th of July Committee tonight.
So we are here tonight to kick off the annual 4th of July celebration by selling the traditional #1 button to the mayor. And then we have #2 for the city manager. And then, as you can see, I have a lot of buttons for all the rest of you. On behalf of the 4th of July Committee, we would like to thank the City Council, the mayor, for all the tremendous support. We'd also like to thank the Parks and Rec Department, the Public Works, the Police and Fire. This is truly a community effort, and it's known throughout the state of Iowa as the best celebration in the state. So we thank all of you for your support. We look forward to seeing all of you on July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I will note, since the 2nd and 3rd are work days for some people, we're not starting the carnival until 4 o'clock both afternoons. So here's the buttons.
Scott, you're up again.
You don't have to. I didn't.
I can give you one amount. Because I never have cash, but I do have cash.
She doesn't want her picture with me. That's
Oh, nice.
Yes, I saw yours.
Yes, these are also available on our website.
Apparently you can pay through the website. Mary, can you use Venmo to pay for, no,
Oh, no, but we're
But-
working on PayPal.
okay,
We'll have a QR code. Do you want two?
yes, I would love to.
There you go. Thank you so much.
She's staying for me until I can get to the
All
website.
right. We'll work.
Uh-oh, I got 666. I think that's lucky.
Thank you. I owe you $5.
It's okay.
I've got one for Christie. Does anybody else need one? Is it, what's going on? Oh, I thought you were logged in already. Okay. All right, thank you for that, Mary and Annika, appreciate it. And again, as Mary said, this is truly a community-wide celebration, a community-wide event. So many folks contribute to this, and it's the 4th of July in Urbandale is truly a treasure, and we look forward to another great year. So thanks for the 4th of July Committee for everything you do, appreciate that. All right, last, but certainly not least, during the presentations, we have a presentation from Neil Weiss on the regional water. So Neil, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Some faces look familiar out there, but for those of you who do not know me, my name is Neil Weiss. I'm the General Manager with Urbandale Water Utility. I started with the utility about a year and a half ago as an engineer and moved into the General Manager role earlier this year. So I replaced Dale Atchison, who had been with the utility for nearly 45 years. So just want to say thank you for the invite tonight to introduce myself and also provide an update on Central Iowa Waterworks. So this past month, it was certainly a big month, a big step forward for Central Iowa Waterworks. We filed the official paperwork with the state, so we're now an official entity with the state of Iowa. We also held our first board meeting on April 24th. So I just want to talk a little bit about what this looks like moving forward for Urbandale and the residents and how this will work with being part of Central Iowa Waterworks. So Central Iowa Waterworks, or CIWW, will be governed by a board similar to that of Urbandale Water Utility. There'll be different member agencies as part of Central Iowa Waterworks, so there's 12 agencies. So each of these agencies will have one board representative. So for Urbandale, that representative will be John McCune, who's been the board chair for Urbandale Water for several years. So the CIWW board will have a fairly narrow scope of responsibilities. These responsibilities will include treating the water and transmitting that water to each community involved in CIWW, as well as planning for capacity expansions as the demand increases in Central Iowa and in this metro. Another one of those responsibilities will include setting the wholesale rates that member agencies like Urbandale will use to purchase water from Central Iowa Waterworks. So following the operational commencement date, which is scheduled for first quarter of next year, all the water that is produced by Central Iowa Waterworks will be owned by Central Iowa Waterworks. And then these member agencies like Urbandale will then purchase water directly from Central Iowa Waterworks. So no longer will it be purchasing water from Des Moines and West Des Moines. It'll ultimately all be owned by Central Iowa Waterworks. So what will this change for Urbandale and the residents? So the short answer to this is that the residents will really notice no change at all from this. Urbandale Water Utility will still own and operate the distribution system. They'll still provide maintenance on the system. They'll still plan and complete capital improvement projects, still provide customer service, as well as setting the rates for the Urbandale Water Utility customers. So also this won't change anything like water quality. We'll still be purchasing water from the same sources of water we were previously. So over this next year, there'll be a number of tasks to complete prior to that operational commencement date. One of those big tasks will be the transfer of assets from all the member agencies to Central Iowa Waterworks. So this won't be a large undertaking for Urbandale. We'll just be transferring one asset. But for communities like West Des Moines Waterworks and Des Moines Waterworks, this will be a fairly large undertaking with infrastructure such as our water treatment plant that will be transferred to Central Iowa Waterworks. So another important task will be hiring an executive director. We have a temporary a part-time executive director, a temporary executive director. His name's Bill Smith. He was approved at the board meeting in April. Bill has a lot of experience with setting up similar regional utilities, but on the electrical side. So he brings a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge in this space. That's certainly nice to have, and I think Bill is going to be a great fit for Central Iowa Waterworks. But we will be going out for national recruitment here in the near future. That process is expected to take 6 to 9 months to have a permanent executive director on board. So beyond Central Iowa Waterworks, just want to highlight a few projects that Urbandale Water Utility will be focusing on over this next year, just to make you aware. So one project I wanted to touch briefly on is a water distribution study that we're going to be undertaking. So our water utility board just approved a contract last month with Snyder and Associates to complete this water distribution study. This will really be a comprehensive look at our entire distribution system and the operation. So everything from the pumping of our system, the capacity, the pressure zones, the velocities that we see, any improvements that are needed for future growth of our system to meet those future demands. So the basis of this study will be water modeling and hydraulic modeling and running different scenarios. So it'll take 6 to 7 months to complete this study, but we really see this as a great roadmap for our utility for future capital improvement projects. So we're certainly excited to get started here. and see the results. The second project I'd like to make you aware of is an ASR well project. So ASR well stands for Aquifer Storage and Recovery Well. So this project, we just approved a preliminary design contract with Strand Engineering out of Ames, Iowa, for help with design of this project. But this will be located out at the 170th Street Water Tower. And this will be an injection well. So we'll actually be injecting treated water down into the Jordan Aquifer, which is 1,200 to 1,400 feet deep in this area. So we'll be injecting during the winter months, and we'll actually be pulling water out of the Jordan well in the summer months during that high demand period of time. So this will really, in a way, be kind of peak shaving during those high demand months or high demand season in the summer that we see with water demand. So it'll certainly provide resiliency to our water system and prolong the need to buy additional capacity from Central Iowa Water Works. So this is these well projects are becoming more and more common in the metro area. Waukee just completed one last year. Des Moines Water Works and West Des Moines Water Works are bidding projects out for ASRs right now. So it's going to be a great asset for our community for years to come. So lastly, just want to say thank you to the mayor and city council for all the support and getting to where we're at right now with Central Iowa Water Works. I know the mayor's been involved in a number of discussions, and I think this has been going on for well over a decade. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
You know, you said we were going to be transferring one asset, so I just want to be clear. Is that the property in Johnston, the potential production area?
Yes. Yep.
So what about
correct.
the land off of Sutton Drive or off of
That,
68th?
yeah, that's not being transferred.
Okay.
As this, so that will remain
Okay.
Urbandale Water for this time being.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Yeah, but that, you're correct. Those gravel pits, those two north gravel pits are the asset. And yeah, I hope that, I think that's a good area for source water for Central Iowa Water Works. So we'll just be evaluating if that could be used in the future.
Okay.
Neil, thank you for your presentation. You said you've been here for what, about a year and a half? So you were here for the great water main break in
Yes.
on 156th Street?
Yep.
But you weren't in charge. I guess I want to, I live in that area, and I
Okay.
think that presents a learning opportunity for the community on how we communicate with our residents. So I hope you were involved in all of the after meetings to discuss how we can better serve. I know, well, it wasn't our situation. Everyone assumes that it was. So I just want to make sure that we can do better the next time. It hopefully doesn't happen.
Sure, yes, we've had meetings with Derek Zarn, with the city, with Curtis Brown. So on different ways to improve those communications and getting the word out quicker. We've also made some improvements to our distribution system through that time. We are adding the line on Meredith from 142nd to 132nd. That's going to certainly add some resiliency to our system in that western area of our distribution system. So yeah, there's certainly a learning lesson
Yes.
for us, and there's always ways to improve on communication.
I think we learned a lot of those things, but could have been a lot worse. But thank you, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions or comments? All right, great. Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to citizens forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something not a part of tonight's agenda. And I know there are a few that want to do it. Channing, I guess you raised your hand first. I'll recognize you first. And we'll get to you.
Hello, I'm Channing Dutton. I live at 3815 Greenview Drive, just a few steps away from here. And Mayor, I have an important message from you, from your wife. She says, "What are you doing about the power?" Wait a minute, that's my wife. We're in the same boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. I wanted to talk to you tonight about a different topic, but the intersection concept is so important today that I'm switching to that. And you guys are doing a great job in terms of thinking about climate change, planning for climate change, looking ahead. And the intersections I'm talking about tonight are the intersections of what the climate has done even this afternoon. So you're having presentations on water, you're acting on storm sewer issues. Public Works has been here talking about the challenges and burden. I noticed the public safety. I assume they've been busy, and public safety arrives just a few minutes late for this meeting. And this intersection, or this lacing together of all of these issues that just involve this city, this community, is one that is only going to grow more urgent, and it's going to be more costly. The storms that we see down in the Gulf of Mexico and Central America, they drove the extreme tornado event in Houston. The wildfires in Canada have already brought smoke into our community. And now we see this sequence of converting almost on a dime, stopping on a dime and converting the great drought of the last 3 years into the flood story of today. So I just want to urge you to keep swinging for the fences, because this concept is so important in your planning and especially in your budgeting. This problem's never going to get easier. It's going to get harder, and we appreciate all you do to plan for those future events. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Channing. All right, I think Adam, Tiffany, Gina, who's going to speak? Mr. Obrecht? All right.
Yes, it has been a long time.
From that side of the boat.
Been a peaceful long time on my side of it, so. I know. Name's Adam Obrecht. Live at 9700 Hammond Drive in Urbandale. Also with me, Urbandale Chamber, we have Tiffany Menke and Gina Wright, and then Clint Dudley is a chamber business owner. Here to thank the council for your support of Leadership Urbandale. Little history, somebody up here was part of the first class of Leadership Urbandale back in 2000. So over a quarter century ago, Leadership Urbandale started in town out of the Imagine Urbandale process that happened last millennia.
You're only hurting yourself.
I know, I'm hurting myself on that one. And it continued through 2017 was the last class of Leadership Urbandale. And so the Urbandale Chamber has reimagined what Leadership Urbandale should look like. And thanks to the Chamber's support in being the lead sponsor of the program, we are launching it again. Applications are open for it as part of it. So if you know of individuals that would be wanting to participate in the program, there are 7 sessions along with the ticket to Central Iowa Business Conference of 2025. And then a graduation on June 12th of 2025. So hopefully that gets on everybody here's calendar. That graduation, we are anticipating having a kind of a presentation off idea of the class giving us their dreaming items. What would Urbandale look like better in the future? We'll see where the class takes that, whether it's short-term items, long-term items, who knows. But we have sessions with the city, sessions with the county, sessions with businesses, and sessions to help people understand who they are themselves and their leadership styles and volunteering for organizations. So the 7 sessions are very much packed during the day sessions, running 8:30-ish. Yeah, still some details to be worked out. 8:30 to 3:30 on the days, once a month sessions. And there is a application, again, chamber website, programs, and then Leadership Urbandale to find out more about that. So, but again, thank you for all your support with it.
Thank you, Adam, and thanks to everybody involved in this thing. I'm heartened to see Leadership Urbandale back again. So, as you said, it was an institution for a while. I see other communities still have leadership classes. I think it's a vital component for our community to instill that sense of leadership and giving back. So thanks for doing that, guys. I really do appreciate it on behalf of the city. So. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
And now I get to leave.
Tiffany, Gina, and Clint, thank you too for being here. So. Oh. Yeah, we have a little electronics problem here. So. Okay. Well, we'll have to do couple voice votes in the meantime. We'll take it slowly, so. Item 5 is the adoption of the minutes. No, I'm sorry. First, from the May 6th meeting.
I'll move approval.
Second.
By Carberry Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 5.2 is to move for the May 14 lunch and learn.
So move.
Bodie,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote.
Kroll votes aye.
That passes. And then for the city council listening session for May 16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Kroll, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote.
I wasn't there.
Kroll votes aye.
Abstain.
That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda. There are 10 items for approval.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery, second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Oh, Kroll votes aye.
That passes. Did we get all 5 in there? Who didn't vote on that?
Kroll on there.
It says 4-0, correct? Blake's not on there.
Blake votes aye.
Blake votes aye. Rosendahl votes aye. Let's go.
First name Blake. All right, that moves us to public hearings. Item 7.1 is a public hearing to consider the fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment number 1. The public notice for this was published in the May 3, 2024 Des Moines Register, and ask any objections to that. Notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Kroll votes aye.
That passes, and to introduce this is our finance director, Nikki Land. Nikki?
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, thank you for coming tonight because we desperately needed to have the public hearing for this item to get our budget amended prior to the end of the fiscal year. In your council letter, there is a packet with all of the information. I won't go through each of them in light of time here. This will be your one and only budget amendment for the fiscal 24 budget year. The total amount feels high at almost $12.6 million, and that is because we're calling and paying off 2 TIF bonds that were not part of the original budget. So in order to bring those in, effectively transfer it out of one fund, put it into another fund, and then pay it out. So $5.6 million is double counted because it has to move from one fund to another. So it feels really high. But that is the majority of it. Anytime we don't budget for a bond payoff, then we have to amend and bring it in. So it looks like a big number, but it's actually great news because we're paying off 2 additional TIF bonds. So that is the vast majority of it at $12.6 million. The remainder of that, there's $120,000 in public safety, $341,000 in culture and rec. That's almost all because of hotel motel. Revenues are higher and we have to pay out the 2/7 and 2/7. Those automatically have to go. So I have to amend for those items. And then in culture and rec, we already did. Community and economic development has $400,000. That's related to the revolving loan fund that pays out the site assistance plan. So as you know, the large master planning north of 3580, that project was approved. So we're bringing those pieces in to get those finished up. And then the last piece in general government, $70,000. And then the debt transfers that we already talked about. So pretty minor as far as operational items for this year, just the bond payoff, which will happen on June 1st, as well as the Fire Station 43 bonds. We did budget for those, so those don't have to be reflected here. Those are being called and paid off with local option sales tax. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Nikki. Questions for Nikki on this?
Are you going to have a piece of paper for us to burn ceremoniously?
I believe that Derek is planning some kind of burning the bonds celebration.
Yes, he and Chief Cardwell are working on that. I suspect it'll be spectacular.
Yeah, they don't
There's
issue,
burning involved, the fire department's there. So,
we'll have something symbolic. They don't actually issue beautiful bond certificates like they did a long time ago, but I do have some historical ones in my office if you'd like to see what they used to look like. Yes, we will be celebrating that piece. We retired that in 6 years.
All right. Any other questions? Are you in public hearing on this item? Would anyone like to address the council on this item? All right, seeing none, I ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Yeah, I'm back on.
That passes, and there are 2 resolutions for consideration.
Move approval of Resolution 147-2024.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move approval of Resolution 148-2024.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 7.2 is a public hearing and consideration of bids for the Lions Park Improvements Phase 2. The public notice for this is also published in the May 3, 2024 Des Moines Register, and if any objections to that, notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes, and introducing this is our Assistant Director of Parks and Rec, Scott Hoke. Scott?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, here to speak about improvements for Lions, which is Phase 2 of several phases, but we already are on Phase 2. Just a little bit of background on the project. Council did receive the master plan in October of '22. The first phase of the master plan was the splash pad, which is scheduled to open next Thursday. I haven't been up there to Lions yet from the storm, but hopefully we are all good there. Schneider and Associates was hired to provide design services for Phase 1, and then we also brought them on for Phase 2, and then we brought them on for Phase 3, knowing that we had to deal with stormwater issues. We wanted to do Phase 2 and 3 at the same time. Phase 2 provides the improvements down in the southwest corner, and then 3 is really additional parking along Prairie, as long as some playground enhancements. Phase 2, to focus in a little bit on that, will be the removal of the old tennis courts, and then the installation of a new tennis court with lights that will be striped with 4 pickleball courts, and then 4 dedicated pickleball courts with lights as well, and then the addition of 3 half-court basketball courts, some sidewalk connections, drinking fountain, and a little portion of the playground games area is in that design as well, too. We kind of worked on anything that was east of that main walkway. And then, of course, stormwater retention for Phase 2 and Phase 3. A little bit about the playground games, just understanding that. It's just kind of drop-in kind of activities that are more, again, playground kind of based. So teak ball, bags, ping pong, gaga pits, those type of things as far as for that, with the additional improvements to the playground in Phase 3.
What was the first game that you said?
So it's up here, it's A, I think they pronounce it teak ball, but you play it with a soccer ball, and it's like ping pong with a soccer ball, and you just kick it back and forth. So I don't play it, so, but
Videos is
Might be the next big thing.
it could be, yeah.
crazy.
It's very popular right
Yeah.
now, so. Bids were recently solicited for Phase 2 of the project. There were 3 alternates included in the bid package. Some shade structure over 2 spots on the pickleball side, and then, as I mentioned, the playground games area. A total of 6 bids were submitted, and you can see the range there on the bids as well as the alternates as we went through everything. It is recommended at this time by staff that we accept the alternate number 3, which is the playground games area. That way all of our concrete can be done. Alternates 1 and 2, which are the 2 shade structures, can be added at a later time when funds become available, because we are a little bit over our original intended budget. This, like I said, 52,773, higher than the original estimated budgeted of 700,000. However, as I mentioned, some of that does include some stormwater in there as well too. So that would have been part of phase 3. So staff recommendation is approving the contract with Concrete Professionals in the amount of $752,773.65 for the base bid, plus alternate 3 for phase 2. And just so council knows, work would start after the 4th of July. We know better than that. Completion of the project is anticipated next spring, but we hope to have most of it done this fall. We'll probably just have to deal with some of the painting of the tennis courts in the spring. So with that, I'll answer any questions and then remind everybody that the splash pad grand opening is Thursday. Shameless plug. So.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Any questions for Scott on this?
What do you mean in reality about funds being available at a later date? I mean, will you keep this on top of a list, or do you guys have a list if there's budget savings in the overall budget or CIP? How does that really?
So that's a possibility. Actually, for the splash pad that we're opening, we had donors supply 2 of the canopies as well too. So we did find some donations for those. So we'll work within those 2 options to try and find some available funds. But
because I think that would be a very nice amenity to have with these very nice pickleball courts that would lighted as well. So I guess I'd like to see us not lose track of finding the money to put them in.
Yep, for sure.
Scott, remind me, at what point do we have the conversation again about the softball field?
So that's the extended phase. You can see the initial phase just includes this kind of the south side, which is the parking, which is the playground enhancements, the basketball and all of that. So that is down the road. So nothing out there at this time. So.
Okay.
And we will have a conversation in regards to the walkway as well too. That was a question that we'll have when we get to phase 3, but that is something we did tuck that closer to the softball field within the design to leave some more open space over there a little bit too, but that was one of the things that we could have a discussion about when we get to phase 3, so.
So is the sidewalk end then at the
It just takes you to the basketball courts, but then you can extend through the park to 71st Street as well too. It just won't go to the north. We are only going, if I can find it, just to there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And does this interfere with the shelter at all at this time?
No.
Okay.
Other than maybe more rentals.
Perfect.
So.
Okay, we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Kroll, second by
Second.
Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. There are 3 items for consideration.
Motion to approve Resolution 160-2024.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 161-2024.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 162-2024.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Thank you. Item 7.3 is a public hearing to consider the Ziegler property, Lot 1, Hickman Commercial Plat 4 Amendment to the Pine Unit Development Master Plan at 2501 to 2555 104th Street. And the public notice for this was also on the May 3, 2024. Des Moines Register, ask for any objections to that notice as published.
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And to introduce us is our Assistant Community Development Director, Christy Bales. Christy?
Thank you. The public hearing tonight is an amendment to the PUD master plan for it's currently vacant lot north of CarMax. Hickman Road is here along the south, 104th Street. It's that vacant lot between CarMax and Tesla's in the building to the north. About a year ago, CarMax came in and asked for an amendment to the PUD to add a general staging area for this property. They felt, especially in the post-COVID days, they needed more staging area and expansion of what they have right now on the north side of their lot, just for storage. Not the area where the public would drive through and look at availability, just really for their storage and staging area for their needs. Council staff recommended approval of that PUD amendment. And here we are about a year later. They went back and reevaluated and are asking for an amendment to that amendment. What they are asking to do is to change the requirement for a brick wall all around that storage area. And I'll kind of start with this. They'd like to change and substitute brick for a concrete block product, that CMU product. Instead of having brick all around, substituting that product along the north, the east, and the eastern half of the south side. They would paint it still the dark earth tones that you see in the photos here. Brick would be along 104th Street, but that concrete block would be on the back side of the project, mostly away from, the passerby on 104th Street. So that's the key question in front of you today. If you read the minutes from the P&Z meeting, I'm going to jump to it. There was quite a bit of discussion regarding a lighting requirement. A couple of council people have asked AJ about that directly, so I'm going to jump ahead and get to that as well. When the staff first wrote the recommendations for the PUD amendment, about a year ago, when we were doing the site plan process, one of the conditions was that the photometrics for the site be brought into compliance. And so that was a condition of the site plan a year ago. The readings are too high at the property lines. What they have is honestly a violation of site planning code. So in that site plan review, we said, revise the photometrics to get this to a compliant level. Too much light is spilling over at the property lines. And we had the photometric plans actually from them as part of their submittal that showed all of that. So kind of a year's gone by and we asked for a deadline at staff level of June 1st. The petitioners came and they're here tonight and asked for as much time as possible, kind of considered, would P&Z be open till the end of the year? P&Z Commission recommended an August 31st compliance date. So that's kind of the brief history. Is the project has known about this kind of lighting at the property line issue, and those are the two different dates that have kind of moved through the process. So staff is recommending approval of the PUD amendment for those wall changes. We are also recommending that additional landscaping be required at the northwest corner of the wall, where really if you're southbound on 104th Street, that's kind of what you'll see first at this project, and then the lighting issue be resolved. So they'll likely talk about it a little bit more, but because I know two of you have asked kind of some history on that, I wanted to kind of give you the staff perspective with that. So I'll take any questions you may have. Keith Wagon is here from CDA. Their representatives from CarMax are here as well, and they can take any questions, but I'll take any questions you may have first.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Will the average person be able to tell the difference between which part is brick and which part is CMU?
I don't believe so, because they're going to paint it essentially all the same color. And because that concrete block is the farther off the road, I think by the time you're zipping up and down 104th, it'll kind of blend in.
And a clarification question on the lighting photometric situation.
Yes.
So the lighting is at the problematic at the existing CarMax or the?
Yes, the lighting is problematic at the existing CarMax facility.
And they've known about this since last year?
Yes, it was a condition in the council report that came in front of you in about May of 2023.
Do we know what the lift is in terms of bringing those into compliance? Or is that something we're not aware of yet?
I'm going to have them answer that. I have kind of an idea. Their person has a different idea. Mine's probably it's too simplistic, like unscrew the light bulbs. Theirs is more complicated in terms of equipment and electric service. So I'm going to have them address that versus my answer to that.
All right.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I'm liking Christie's already.
All right, we'll let the applicant then does the applicant want to make a presentation?
Thank you, council and mayor, for having us. I'm Taylor Raines with Centerpoint Integrated Solutions, a representative for CarMax. We also have Keith Wegan with Civil Design Associates, local civil, and Bradley Escobar with CarMax. Yeah, so to address the lighting issue, I know that's kind of the big topic here. We have been working diligently. It is a pressing matter for us. We do want to come into compliance now that we're back and moving on the project. Currently, we have bids received for the work, and we're currently kind of setting a timetable to hopefully have it done end of June, 1st of July, so well within the deadline that's been set, and we don't see any issues with achieving that. If you have any other questions, more specifically about the site layout or anything, Keith is more than happy to answer those for you.
So is that more of like installing some sort of dimming on the existing lights, or is that like a straight up replacement of lights?
So my understanding is that it'll be a little bit of both. Our lighting consultant will work with an installer and a manufacturer to install shields first and foremost to kind of block off that light crossing the property line. But there also might be some changing of fixtures as part of that process.
Is there lighting that's gonna be put into this new addition that you guys are putting on with so are we taking that into consideration as we're constructing that?
Yeah, I believe the photometric that had called all this out previously had that
lighting
included.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we're not back up here in a year talking about the same thing.
Okay. Keith, do you want to make the presentation?
Keith Wagan with CDA 4121 Northwest Urbandale Drive, Urbandale. Just a couple things to point out. In regards to the lights in question today, it's not all the lights on the CarMax site. It's mostly to the west and the southernmost portion of the site that are somewhat adjacent to the right-of-way to the west and the south. Initially, when we came through last year with the PUD and site plan, et cetera, the ask was that the lighting be corrected before the improvements for the proposed undeveloped lot be accepted. So as things kind of evolved and projects got shuffled around in CarMax's court and the market changed a little bit, the project got delayed, which kind of brought us back to this point. So I just want to point out that it wasn't anyone saying, hey, we're not going to do the lights. CarMax is committed to doing that. The other thing I wanted to talk about too, in regards to the masonry wall, one of the reasons that we're asking for painted CMU where we can is because the existing wall that's there is painted CMU. So I think it makes a lot of sense to try to tie into that existing material that's there as well. And I agree with Christy. I think that wall primarily sits back so far, I don't think anybody's going to see. Additionally, we have quite a bit of landscaping proposed adjacent to the wall, along the wall. I don't think you're going to notice whatsoever. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Thank you, Keith. Any questions for Keith on this?
So what happens, I guess maybe this is for Christy, if this isn't completed by August 31st. Oh, okay.
Go ahead and answer.
Sure, that'd be fine. Yeah, let's do that. And then we'll,
It's a combo answer. We try to work with people for compliance as much as possible. So if we have a plan and there is a schedule and that is conveyed to city staff, we will presume that they're moving forward. Typically for code enforcement cases, depending on the scope, if it's fairly simple, you get a couple of weeks. If it's grass, you get 5 days. Most get a couple of weeks. And if you're missing your landscaping, you usually get 30 to 60 days, depending on what time of the year it is. So that's why we started out with the June 1st. We felt that about 6 weeks notice from the date the staff report went out was likely going to get their attention, but seemed a fair date. I'd prefer not to get to August 31st and have to write a citation for violation of the site planning code. So that's ultimately what we could do, but that's ultimately not my goal. My goal is compliance as soon as possible. And if we get to August 15th and the weather goes crazy and we need a little bit more time, we'll work with them. But I don't want to get to that spot.
Thanks.
all right, we are in public hearing on this item yet. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council on this item? All right. Do you have any further to add or any further comment? Okay, with that then, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. There's one item.
Motion to approve Council Letter 7809.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8, planning and zoning items. We have one, which is item 8.1, the Mallard Prairie Plat 4 final plat at 173rd Street and Sharon Drive. Christie?
So first, for context and vicinity map on where we're located in the world, we're out here west of 170th Street, specifically in this area that I'm highlighting with the circle. In case you're wondering, what are all those red lines? Those are preliminary plats that have been approved by City Council. They are working their way through various levels of construction drawings. Maybe they're under construction. Recorded lots are shown in black, and then those preliminary plats are shown in red. And I show that to you a little bit for reference because some of you are newer and don't know some of the stuff that has come out. So just for that, so you can see the circle here on 170th Street, that's the water tower. Radiant Elementary is here as well. So we're looking at Mallard Prairie Plat 4. When this development came in for its original zone change, it went from 170th, essentially 1/2 mile west. This overall development includes the Radiant Point houses. This was one of our smaller lot subdivisions where we tested the waters with the 46-foot wide lots. These, where you see kind of some red squares here, still central, are the fourplexes currently under construction. Then they transitioned from fourplex townhomes to twoplex townhomes to then single family. And so this next plat 4 with 24 single family lots is the next phase in the development. And they're essentially moving one vertical north-south street at a time as they move westward. So the plat has access to Hickory Drive as it will be extended to the west, to Sharon Drive as it will be extended to the west, and the new street will be here in the middle. This is what the plat looks like. So you can see Sharon at the south and Hickory at the north and how that moves westward. These are the 24 single family lots. These are the 65-foot wide lots. When the PUD was approved, the standard requirement is 70 feet, but they asked for that reduced 65-foot width with 5-foot side yards, and we approved that as part of their project. They do have one outlot on the south part of the lot.
That will be their stormwater detention, so you can see kind of what they're planning in this next phase. Parkland for this is, for the whole plat, is cash towards that future parkland up in the Bentley Ridge near the school, and possibly farther west, depending on what the plans are for parkland, but certainly to be used on parkland on the west side of 170th Street. Staff is recommending approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval as well, subject to the comments and conditions in your staff report. Fairly standard things, some payments due, some legal documents, things related to easements and that sort of thing. So the plat will go to record after the site is constructed in terms of streets and stormwater and sanitary, and then they'll be able to sell those lots. David Albright is here tonight. He is the developer of the project. I'll take any questions you may have. He can answer any questions if I can't field them.
Okay.
Christy, there's a pedestrian connection from Hickory Drive up into the school, isn't there?
Farther, yes,
Farther
not
to the
in this
east?
plat, but farther to the east, yes.
Okay. So where there doesn't, right where your mouse is?
Here it is, yep.
So these are not built on yet, those 3 lots?
These 3 right here?
Yeah.
Well, this aerial's from 2022, so I can't say that yet.
I don't know. No?
David said no. Okay, there you go.
I guess I just like to see sidewalk access to the school, so they'll all be built on, but they'll to the west where we're talking, but it looks like we're still missing some sidewalk in key spots there, but I don't know what we can do about that if they haven't been built on.
Yeah, I see what your question is. I'm not sure what to do if they haven't been built on yet. The one on the south side has been built, and we do have, we haven't gone to record on Plat 2. This is Bentley Ridge Plat 2. There is a connection through those houses in the future to get to the sidewalk. So it's a work in progress, but yeah, there may be some gaps for a little bit before it's a fully connected path.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Christy. Dave, do you have anything further you want to add at all? Okay. With that,
Motion to approve Council Letter 7810.
okay, motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Moving on to item 9, regular agenda items versus item 9.1, ordinance to number 2024-07 to consider the updating of parking at Lions Park, and I'll turn it back over to Scott.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Here we are really just making some wording changes on some of our signage that we have in front of the parking at Lions. With the splash pad opening, we are anticipating it's going to be busy. Parking is going to be at a premium in Lions, which is why eventually we're adding parking on the south side. But to ensure that the renters of the Ralph Whitten Shelter have adequate parking, we're proposing to amend the signs a little bit that are in front of them now. It also says we're adding 2 signs, but technically we're not, because UCAN had some parking as well there, and they're not in that building anymore. So we will have 12 dedicated spots in front of the shelter. Before, the signs that were there said between 8 and 4, because it primarily dealt with some of our programming that we did, the school age or the preschool programming that we did there. With that being gone, we thought we could just amend the signs to say park shelter patrons only. Again, for those that might rent the shelter and need to have parking close by. So that is really the change that we are looking to make today. In addition, there are 51 spots along 72nd Street, including 4 handicap spots that are not reserved, and there is parking on Prairie on the south side, parallel parking. So, but with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Scott. Any questions for Scott?
Hey, Scott, is it expected that you're just not able to park there if you didn't rent the shelter out?
Correct.
Restricted parking 24/7, no matter what.
When the park is open, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, obviously the splash pad will open at 10 and close at 8. So, and although we don't have a lot of weekend rentals, we are anticipating maybe some more birthday party rentals during the weekends too. So, and we do have some classes and stuff that are in there. The senior center has been using that for some of their classes. So we want to make sure they have some parking spots as well too, so.
That kind of relates to my question. I was just wondering why we needed to shut down parking altogether. If there's no one using the shelter, that's 12 spaces lost.
Correct. But like I said, senior center does a couple classes in there.
Okay.
And those are actually pretty full classes, actually, now that we've kind of renovated Lions a little bit. And again, we're anticipating some for birthday parties as well, too. So it's hard to judge when we might need those 12. And we can always look to make adjustments later on, but we do think this will help us as far as for our renters that might, you have a wedding reception, graduation, something like that, and you want to at least have a few spots in there that are going to be there and close by.
Well, I think it's difficult to discern that essentially this is saying no parking from 8 a.m. or from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Correct. Right. Before it was no parking from 8 to 4.
Right.
And so now we're just doing in the evening as well too.
Right, but I don't know how someone can extrapolate that from the sign. So if someone were to pull up at 8 a.m. and, they technically have from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. to park there, right?
Well, they can park there, they could, I guess, because the splash pad isn't open, but we just have it for no parking there when the park is open, and, which is 6:30 to 10:30. So we are restricting it rather than, again, you give them those couple hours in the morning, that's not gonna help them much because splash pad wouldn't even open till 10. So is that answering your question?
I just don't know why we don't just say no parking at all, except for, because you're putting hours based on what you're telling me, but.
Nope, I'm not putting hours. We're taking the hours off. There were hours there before. We are saying, unless you're using that shelter, you shouldn't be parking in those spots.
But previously you said that at 8 p.m. when the park closes.
Nope. Previously, the hours said no parking between 8 a.m. and 4 or 5 p.m. because of the shelter use.
Okay, so these are just no parking whatsoever unless you're using.
Unless you're using the shelter, correct.
All right. Further questions?
Move to approve Council Letter 7797.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.2 is to consider the first amended and restated 28E agreement for the NFC Urbandale Energy Advantage Program. And to introduce this is our Director of Risk Management and Support Services, John Conier. John?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to get to the right one. They're both next to each other, so. Nope. No. I have back to back, so. Well, here tonight, this one is the restated 2080 agreement with the NFC for the Energy Advantage program that they offer here. In the first quarter of 2024, we had talked a little bit about the NFC and the income limit of 80% of AMI. So I wanted to give you a quick overview. The NFC in Des Moines, Metro, Lens and Windsor Heights, West Des Moines, and then Urbandale. We are this blue area up top here. In a more close-up, we go from the eastern corporate limits up to I-35, down 72nd Street, over to Aurora, down Douglas, all the way to the south on Hickman. So that is where the NFC lens and where this program would be offered. So currently the restriction is 80% of AMI. When we had our council lunch and learn, the census tracts upon which that the NFC lends in, the median household income was all above that, greatly above that actually. So the recommendation at that point in time was to amend the restriction to 120% of AMI. in 2023, which is what the current AMI numbers are, for a family of one, that would be $87,720. For a family of four, a max of $125,160. So to do that, the lawyers for NFC said that we had to amend and restate the 28E agreement to just change that one number. So that is what's before you tonight to make that happen. If you approve it, it would start July 1st. So that is the anticipated rollout date. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
These numbers here are the 100% of AMI or 120% of AMI?
Those are the 120% of AMI.
Can we see that map again? I keep trying to track where this all is. And it's
this whole here is the Merle Hay Mall, which they don't lend to because it's a corporate business. So that's the hole that's in this map here. And then they do lend directly across Merle Hay in Des Moines in the green color.
And then we're the blue.
We are the blue color, yes.
So the north-south in the middle is 72nd,
This is 72nd in the middle, yes.
Aurora, and 86.
Aurora, 86, and then Hickman at the southern bottom.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. My whole neighborhood's in there.
Take advantage.
Yeah.
Process.
Any other questions I could answer for you all?
I'll move approval of Resolution 146-2024.
Second.
Motion by Cartwright Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. Somebody hasn't voted. We all in?
That passes.
There we go. That passes. I was waiting for the result to tell. Show up.
Slightly worried I was going to have to tell the NFC it didn't pass tonight.
Item 9.3 is to consider amendment number 1 to the Master Services Agreement for the Human Services Strategic Plan. John?
Thank you, Mayor. This is my second item here tonight before you all. Back in the last month, and in April, you approved the Human Services Strategic Plan, which really laid out how Urbandale can address the human service needs of our city in the next 3 years. It's really a 3-year plan moving forward. So here's again is the one-pager piece of it. Really put this in here to draw your attention to the light gray, which is incredibly difficult to see here, but it's a city coordination. And that is the first piece of this plan. It is how do we operationalize this plan and move it from just its plan to actually something tangible. And so that first piece went back to Baton and said, how can we make that happen? I am not an expert in human services, and I don't believe we have someone on staff though that has those skills to make that happen. And the first piece of that was to do the advisory committee and to seat the priority chairs. Priority is food insecurity, transportation, affordable housing, language support, and youth services. So there'll be an org or a person who will champion those causes or those places that we wish to focus our attention on, as well as an advisory committee. So Baton Global does have expertise in this field, and so they put together a proposal for a 2-phased approach. So the first phase would be to make sure that we select the right people. So one is to let people know what do we expect and what time should you plan on committing if you were to serve on the advisory committee or if you were to sign up to be a chair. And so their first phase would be role expectation, invite, email, and because the way that we anticipate that being is that would be the mayor's appointments that would be approved by you all via council. And then the second piece of that is to take those people once they are identified and approved and actually kick them off and get them to be a cohesive working group that can start to tackle the strategic plan. So they will meet on a monthly basis for the first year. So Baton will meet with this group and they will help guide them along the formation process and then to identify and then to start to do the things outlined in the strategic plan. They'll also take the predictive index, which I know you at council all took as part of your strategic planning process. And then we'll also run them through some workshops so they can identify where their strengths are and where their gaps may happen to be. And then at the end of the 12 months, they'll come up with an implementation work plan to actually say, okay, now this is how you can take this information in the first year and move that into year 2. And they will still be there to help them throughout the 2-year process. So what's before you tonight is just not a 12-month, but it's a 24-month process to make sure that we get this kicked off right and moving forward. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I didn't see anywhere in the proposal where there are reports back to the council about progress or any kind of additional benchmarks or milestones. I'm wondering how you feel about that and how problematic it would be to incorporate some of that into that agreement.
I think you as a council definitely want to have reports made back to you. I think when the committee and the chairs get set up, those are expectations that we can definitely pass along. Are they monthly, quarterly? Definitely would want to say that probably the easiest way is to make sure that you receive their minutes so you know what's happening and what's out there. And then definitely once a year, I think they should come back as a group and then report back to you, this is where we are and this is what's happening. They will have regular contact with the city because they're supposed to have a web page to make sure that everyone knows what's going on and what's out there in the community.
And then these 5 organizations or individuals who are chairs, is there any stipend or support for them financially?
There is none identified currently at the moment, but throughout this process, there may be that piece that we come back. We do not have a committee or board that currently is stipend for Urbandale, so that would be a little unique and different. But I'm sure there are ways that we could help facilitate what their needs may be without doing a stipend.
Okay.
I guess maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think that's a good question. I mean, if we're asking maybe people from nonprofits to take on the chair role of these committee or areas, that as part of their regular job, I don't know. I think we just have to see how it rolls out. I mean, I'm just envisioning, wanting somebody from the food pantry to be in charge of, the food insecurity, but maybe that's not the way that it'll roll out. I don't know. What do you think, Amy? Is it too early to?
I think we wait and we see kind of what happens and how it comes together. I mean, you can theoretically pull together what this is going to look like, and then we have the reality of what is it actually going to look like. And there may be some fluctuation in that, and I think we think about that as it comes down, because it very well may be someone says, I can't do this unless my agency is reimbursed, or whatever the case may be. That happens.
And I don't think we know quite yet.
Yeah.
Time.
I understand that.
Exactly. So thank you, Amy and John, for.
Yeah, we should probably just be prepared for some of those kinds of requests maybe coming in.
During the budget process for next fiscal year, yes, you should be aware that there may be some requests coming along for the numerous plans that are in the going forward phase.
I like the smile on your face when you say that.
All right, is there a motion for it?
I'll move approval of Resolution 145-2024.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery. Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. Thank you, John.
You gotta pay attention.
That passes. Item 9.4 is consider the development of petition and waiver agreements for worldwide logistics plat 2 outlots Y and Z. And John Larson will answer any questions if there are on this. Not, there are 3 items for consideration.
Motion to approve Resolution 149-2024.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 150-2024.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 159-2024.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.5 is consider the final acceptance of 170th Street paving project from Meredith Drive to Waterford Road. John?
Yep, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is our final acceptance and final assessment of our 170th Street paving project. Just to kind of show you where we're at, this is our assessment plat. Here's the intersection of 170th and Meredith. So we constructed a quarter mile of Meredith to the east of 170th. Clive is on the south side. Urbandale is on the north side. And this kind of shows 170th coming up. The boxes are our 300-foot assessments. We assess 300 feet each side of the right-of-way. And then we'll show on the north half, this is the water tower for a point of reference. But again, our assessment area up to Waterford. So with our project, there were 77 properties that were assessed related to paving. 67 of those properties have been paid, and that's through their final platting process. So there's 10 properties that'll have a new paving assessment. Of those 10, 7 have requested agricultural deferment, and then 1 of those properties is owned by the city. And then on the sidewalk assessment, there are 19 properties that are being assessed. 13 of those properties have paid, and out of the 6 new ones, 5 have agricultural deferment request, and 1 is owned by the city. So again, our paving assessment, the way it works is we assess a 31-foot wide section of the roadway, half to each side of the road. For our preliminary assessment, we had estimated $60 per square yard for our paving assessment. On the project, the Meredith Drive pavement was slightly different than the 170th Street pavement. So on Meredith, it was $63 a square yard. 170th was $95.50 per square yard. So again, just kind of remember that this was significantly more than our original estimate back in 2022. We were $5.5 million over the estimate. So that's why, you know, again, the prices were quite a bit higher. And our preliminary assessment for the sidewalk was $36 per square yard, and the bids came in at $58 per square yard. And again, with things being over our estimate, that's why we have a deficiency of just over $1.3 million. Since it's over our preliminary assessment, we cannot assess that to the property owner, so that becomes a city cost. Again, as I said, we were $5.5 million over on the bids, and the paving portion was $1.3 million of that. So as you can see, our preliminary assessment was just above 2.2 million. Our final assessment is 2.2 million because again, we're capped by that preliminary assessment. You can see the biggest difference is, you know, based on the preliminary assessment, we were roughly 7.6 million was the city. The ultimate project was a little over 14 million. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, questions for John on this?
With this being significantly over, is that going to impact is that going to move any future projects around, or is this already really been covered?
We came up with the money at the time, so the current CIP already reflects dealing with this.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So in the spreadsheets that were attached to the council letter, so let me scroll down here. So those that were listed as deficiencies, and it's like the first one, I'm looking at sheet 108, Accurate Land Company. It's in the final column, deficiency, negative 27,000. So is that means that they underpaid by 27,000
It's
compared to the actual cost? But I guess that's my first question. What does that column mean?
That means basically they were capped by their preliminary assessment. I could pull up those numbers, just say it was 100,000.
Okay.
By our new numbers, it was 127,000. We can't charge them that extra 27,000, so that becomes a deficiency.
So it being in parentheses makes it a negative number. And in the deficiency column, do those negatives?
Total that 1.3 million.
Okay, so it's not a double negative being in parentheses in the deficiency column. Does that make any sense? Or, so they,
Basically,
what was collected was 100,000 in your example, and the cost was 127.
Correct.
And so we have to eat that cost.
Yep.
Okay.
But you're saying we already ate it, really, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We've already funded the project.
Motion to approve resolution 156-2024.
Okay, motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve resolution 157-2024.
By McBurney,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve resolution 158-2024.
Motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.6 is consider the engineering services agreement for the storm sewer extension from Merle Hay Reinvestment District on Airline Avenue and Madison Avenue. John, do you have any further you're adding on this? Okay. John, answer any questions if there are on this.
Well, I got a quick one. The range on this thing was huge on the bids.
They're not bids, remember?
Well, yeah,
They're
right,
just
right,
their
right, right.
proposed fees.
I know, I understand. But we're talking 3 times at the high end compared to the lowest end. Why? What was your sense of the why? And I'm kind of curious, since they're not bids, I guess that's why we don't see a table for this like we do for a construction project.
Correct. And I guess maybe run through a couple things is code specifically says we cannot do it purely based on a quote, a bid or picking the low.
I'm very supportive of that.
Correct. And part of, again, this is something we've changed, is not having the table. What we've kind of found is, in a way, it just ultimately shames everybody that wasn't the one selected. Everybody wants to know why is my score 3 points less than everybody else's? So it just seems like making all that public made things a little harder for people to keep continuing to try to do our work. And as far as the difference, a lot of it has to do with, again, the number of hours that they think it's going to take, the hourly rate of their staff. I mean, there's a difference, there's some, if you back in the total cost by their number of hours, it'll be a fairly consistent hourly rate. Sometimes you'll find someone to be lower just because they've got, their fee schedule is just different, so they can get more hours in. There's other ones when we're reviewing it, we just look at it and say, somebody's half the hours of the next lowest. We don't believe you can do it for that few of hours, or it's going to be a lot of intense time for the staff to be reviewing and correcting everything that's going on. So again, and also, as you know, the who needs work and who doesn't need work also factors into their price. Sometimes, you sharpen your pencil a little bit more if you need work. If you have work, it's a different story.
And we didn't take the lowest one here because you perceived that McClure was perhaps a little bit better qualified than the.
Correct. Yep. Again, a lot comes down to, we have a scoring matrix for different categories. You know, we tell them in the request for proposals, you know, provide these different pieces of information, then we rate them. I mean, all the firms are qualified. It's just sometimes it's where is there more of their area of expertise or the time they put in and the explanation they put into their proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Motion to approve council letter 7803.
Second.
Kroll, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.7 is considered the engineering services agreement for 66th Street storm sewer improvements from Meredith Drive to Townsend Avenue.
Motion to approve Council Letter 7804.
Second.
Kroll, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.8 is considered the engineering services agreement for the I-3580 pedestrian bridge.
Motion to approve Council Letter 7805.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. What did I say?
It was a hot topic of discussion in DC.
Oh, gotcha. All right. I thought I missed something there, sorry.
There
That
were
passes.
coyotes involved.
Oh, that, yeah. All right, that passes. Item 9.9 is consider the architectural services agreement for the Parks and Public Works Storage Buildings renovation project. Scott, do you have anything further you want to add on this?
Motion to approve council letter 7800.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.10 is to consider the purchase of the McDivitt Grove Cemetery Columbaria. And I think we pretty much answered that, but if there are any questions, Scott would answer them.
Motion for Council Letter 7806.
Motion by Bodie, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.11 is consider the equipment purchase for the asphalt reclaimer.
Motion to approve council letter 7808.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.12 is consider the purchase of the air compressor and fill station. I think Chief Cardle was planning to be here, but I don't think, he's probably called with some other duties tonight, so,
Just refills the bottles.
yep.
Motion to approve council letter 7812.
Okay, motion by Kroll, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. That takes us to the end of our regular agenda. So Bridget?
Wanted to congratulate all of our high school graduates. Graduation season is upon us, and lots of kids in Urbandale graduating, so congratulations. Pat and Amy and I all attended the Project Uplift midpoint discussion panel last week, and I have never been so simultaneously thrilled, excited, and just angry at the same time. The stories that, it was all women on the panel told were just absolutely amazing. At one point, I just whispered over to Amy, you know, it's just $500 a month, and the changes that these women have been able to accomplish in their life, even with an eye towards it going away in 12 more months, is just, it is breathtaking. Starting businesses, stable housing, you know, increased credit score, you know, you name it. You know, one of the most significant things is the family relationships that have been strengthened. I think, you know, that's not a tangible thing that we can put a value on, but by taking away some financial stress and putting people in more, or allowing people to choose more stable housing or stable jobs or jobs with more flexibility, you're just taking away so much stress on the primary providers that's leading to more fun with their kids, just general all-around wellness. So there's been lots of articles written, and it's been on Iowa Public Radio, and I know there's more stuff coming out. So I just can't say enough, and I'm so proud of us for being involved. But ultimately, the people that really needed to hear it, the ones that want to handicap us from being able to participate as public entities in future types of programming like this, weren't there to hear the inspiring stories. Next thing, I talked to AJ a little bit about this afternoon. I've had several people reach out to me about the outdoor warning signs, and we run them a lot more now. And when I say we, I mean whoever's in charge of them is emergency management folks. I think Urbandale and maybe more broader needs to do a re-education campaign on why it's more than just tornadoes now. And I'm afraid people are going to grow, just deaf to hearing them. So I'd love to see us just push some stuff out on social media talking about why they're going off when it's not necessarily a tornado warning. And then I had a chance to talk to Christy a little bit before the meeting about the Sikh temple development in Urbandale. And I think it would be a good idea for our lawyers to give us an code of conduct and procedures when dealing with the Zoning Board of Adjustment, because that's another, it's a totally different type of group than dealing with our Plan and Zoning Commission or any of our other boards and commissions. So I think that is, and I got an email that would directly apply to that from some of the backers of the project during the meeting. So I think that is very appropriate at this time. So those were my things.
Definitely ditto everything Bridget just had to say about the uplift stories. It was deeply moving, and I wish our state legislature could have heard it. From the Metro Waste Authority via the director's report, there will be some bulk waste changes to landfilling. This is perhaps particularly relevant right now. I don't know exactly when this will be enacted, but they're going to require cuts to 6 foot in length. Otherwise, there'll be additional charges. And similarly, they're kind of cracking down on mattresses. Households will be able to dump off maybe up to 4 mattresses, but more than that will be feed. It takes up a lot of airspace. The springs are a problem for crushing and rolling over and things like that. So that was kind of the Metro Waste Authority piece. I really wanted to thank Parks and Recreation for the absolutely wonderful work of pulling garlic mustard in the Greenbelt. I know it feels like it's just never going to make progress, but we had 14, 15 volunteers out there, and bunches of garlic mustard got pulled. There's bunches more to do, but it was amazing, really. And every little bit helps, because when you get it pulled out, then there's a piece of the ground that can take an acorn and make it happen. So it was really probably more worth doing than people can appreciate. I think I had something else I wanted to mention. Oh, yeah. 3 of us showed up for that uplift event. Sometimes we're being asked to come and appear at some political things just to report out on what's happening at the council. We kind of need a little legal guidance about when a quorum shows up at this sort of thing, even though we're not having any actual discussion of business. And the reason I ask that is I noticed that the governor had vetoed a bill that had been passed by the legislature that would have specifically allowed a quorum to attend, for example, a political event. And that got vetoed. So I'm just not sure of our status. So any guidance would be appreciated.
No, I received the same question from Councilmember Kroll this morning. So I contacted the League of Iowa Cities just to make sure, because there was a question mark about what the governor had vetoed. And I won't go into details of what she vetoed, but the rule of thumb is that as representatives of the council, you can certainly go and present and give updates. You just cannot discuss anything that might be coming before you.
Right.
As far as any pending items or anything that you may consider, you certainly are able to go and participate to give this is what the city council in Urbandale is up to type of updates. You can do that, but you certainly can't, if there's more than 3 of you, you can't have any discussion about current or future agenda items.
Okay, thank you.
So no problem being in a room together, but just can't take action or deliberate to take action.
Got it. Thanks.
Amy?
Yeah, echo the Mid-Iowa Health Storytelling event. We had a great ribbon cutting out at the Crescent Building. If you're not aware, you can go get your Starbucks there for $2 to $3, self-serve. It is open to the general public as well. And then thanks to Blake and to Mayor Bob for rescuing my husband on the mayor's bike ride on Saturday. So
Glad he's on the mend, so. Blake?
Just a couple of things. Looking forward to the Splash Park opening. Probably going to go, I don't know if anybody's going to the Sustainability Fair because that's the same night, it sounds like, too.
Yeah.
So
We got a lot that night.
I'm probably going to be at the Splash Park thing with 2 children that will greatly appreciate having a splash park. So it'd be great to hear kind of what comes out of that event too. And I'm assuming we'll get just an email of storm assessment updates following.
I'll address them on my end.
Sweet,
So.
sounds good. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Blake. Larry?
One thing I'll just say, thank you to our first responders, because I saw a bunch of notifications come through for Pulse Point, which is an app that you can get for your phone, and it monitors all the different calls for service that are going out, and I saw a lot of them come in after the storms blew through, which is not surprising, so I know that they're incredibly busy right now. John and his staff, I know, are incredibly busy as well, so just thank you to all of them for responding so quickly and getting out there. I know it's technically what you're supposed to do, but you guys do such an awesome job of doing it, so thank you. And then I know it's been a while since we had this, but I had another resident approach me about the electronics disposal day and talking about how they want to see for next year if it continues to be popular, some sort of traffic control put in place. Yes, I know it came up again, so. And that's all I've got.
All right. Give me just a second here.
We have power back.
Yeah, we do have power back. I'm sending all of you right now in real time an email from Chief Cardwell, but I'll just give, I just received this during the meeting, and I'll just read the highlights of it. So you'll have the latest information from the chief, but he just said the worst damage occurred in the older neighborhoods between Hickman and Meredith. Urbandale Fire established a field area command to manage the influx of emergency requests. Department responded to 12 emergency requests. 2 rescue assists were required, 1 in a stuck elevator and 1 assisting a woman with a tree down in her house. No injuries were recorded, which is good. At least 10 structures were immediately identified as suffering damage, all due to trees falling on the building. So, again, we'll keep addressing the situation and, just keep in touch. I assume AJ and John, we'll get out something on the debris management plan. And that was also an email from Polk County EMA on that, so EMA will work on communicating that metro-wide as well, but we'll work on our own debris management plan and get the information out. So if you get questions on that, just say we'll be out on social media as quickly as we possibly can with how the debris management plan will be handled. So, Also, this morning, right in the middle of this morning's rainstorm, I was out in Adel for the Dallas County Supervisors meeting and presented the letter that we all approved regarding increasing the supervisors from 3 to 5. Mayor Clark from Waukee presented the letter, and no comments from the supervisors, so we'll see. We're going to monitor their agenda to see how and when they take this up on their agenda. We did give them the deadline of early June to respond. If not, after that, then petitions will be circulated to start gathering signatures. So
I think it's important to note, I think there were 14 signatures on which I think is all the communities.
no, there were 3 that we didn't have, but I think that even of those that expressed some support. So I think there were 17 communities and we had 14 on the letter.
So it is widespread support for them to take action, which I think would be appreciated by all the communities for them to do it.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I have. If there's nothing else, we are at the end of our agenda. We stand adjourned. Thank you.